you can get Kuminga at a couple $1 million a year, and he has the Lakers can offer a starting job. They can offer playing for the Lakers.
We want to let these guys grow together. We want to let them have some continuity. They have no flexibility. This is their team.
The Lakers' off-season isn't over, and everything depends on one player. The Los Angeles Lakers have already spent hundreds of millions of dollars this off-season. Ray signed key players, filled every roster spot, and completely reshaped the team around Luka Dončić. On paper, it looks like business is finished. Most fans have already shifted their attention toward training camp and the start of the new NBA season. But here's the reality: the Lakers' off-season isn't over. In fact, the biggest move that could define whether this team becomes a legitimate championship contender or simply another play-in team hasn't happened yet. Surprisingly, that decision isn't entirely in the Lakers' hands. Everything now revolves around LeBron James, depending on which reports you believe. LeBron either informed the Lakers that he wanted a fresh start elsewhere, or the organization quietly decided it was time to move into the Luka Dončić era without him. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: until LeBron's future is officially resolved, the Lakers roster remains incomplete. Lakers lock up Austin Reeves. Of the biggest headlines of the summer was Austin Reeves signing a new 4-year maximum contract to remain in Los Angeles, originally valued at approximately $185 million. Reeves reportedly agreed to take around $5 million less than the maximum available. While the savings won't dramatically change the Lakers' financial situation, every dollar matters when trying to improve a championship roster. The move also sends an important message. Reeves believes in what the Lakers are building around Luka Dončić and was willing to sacrifice a small amount of money to give the front office additional flexibility. It's not a massive discount, but it's another example of a player investing in the team's future. The Lakers filled their roster. Front office also addressed several other needs during free agency. Kevin Looney was signed to strengthen the center rotation, adding rebounding, interior defense, and championship experience. More recently, the Lakers added Ziaire Williams on a 1-year veteran minimum contract, officially filling the 15th and final roster spot, with no open roster positions remaining and virtually no salary cap space available. Many assumed the Lakers' off-season had come to an end. Not quite. The biggest weakness still exists despite all of the additions. One glaring issue continues to stand out. The Lakers built nearly the entire roster around Luka Dončić's offensive strengths, but they still lack the exact type of player Luka has historically thrived alongside: a long, athletic wing capable of defending elite scorers every night. The current roster is loaded with guards and offensive talent. What it doesn't have is a true defensive stopper on the perimeter. Without that player, Luka and Austin Reeves could once again be forced to defend difficult assignments, something that becomes a major problem in playoff basketball. League executives know it, the Lakers know it, and that's exactly why they're still aggressively pursuing one player. Jonathan Kuminga remains the priority. That player is Jonathan Kuminga. Throughout the offseason, multiple NBA insiders have consistently identified Kuminga as the Lakers' top remaining target. The reason is simple: he's athletic, he's versatile, he can guard multiple positions. Most importantly, he provides exactly the defensive versatility this roster currently lacks. A player like Kuminga could take pressure off Luka Dončić on the defensive end while allowing the Lakers to match up better against the Western Conference's elite wings. That's something no one currently on the roster can consistently provide. Why Ziaire Williams doesn't change the plan. Although the Lakers recently signed Ziaire Williams, the move shouldn't be viewed as replacing their pursuit of Kuminga. Instead, Williams serves as valuable insurance. The 24-year-old former lottery pick still possesses intriguing physical tools. Standing 6'9" with impressive athleticism, he once projected as one of the NBA's promising young wings. Last season with Brooklyn, Williams averaged roughly 10 points per game while showing flashes of two-way potential. Interestingly, he also attended Sierra Canyon High School alongside Bronny James, creating another storyline should Bronny remain part of the Lakers' long-term plans. However, league reports have made one thing clear: the Lakers don't view Williams as their long-term answer at small forward. They see him as depth. If Kuminga becomes available, Williams simply slides into a reserve role. The front office still wants one more movie. According to several respected NBA reporters, there was never an internal debate between signing Ziaire Williams or pursuing Jonathan Kuminga. The Lakers always intended to do both. Williams strengthens the bench. Kuminga upgrades the starting lineup. That's been the strategy all summer. Add youth, athleticism, and depth wherever possible, while continuing to search for a true difference maker on the wing. So what's holding everything up? The biggest obstacle isn't basketball, it's money. Earlier this offseason, the Lakers committed most of their available financial flexibility to improving other areas of the roster after making multiple signings and trades. They no longer possess enough cap space to offer Kuminga the type of contract he's seeking. At this point, Los Angeles can legally offer only a minimum contract in free agency for a player of Kuminga's talent and age. That's nowhere close to market value, not surprisingly. He declined. Kuminga understands his value around the league and has no reason to accept a minimum deal when he believes he deserves significantly more. That's where negotiations have stalled. The league sees the same problem. This isn't simply fan speculation. Multiple respected NBA insiders have acknowledged that the Lakers essentially created this situation themselves. By using most of their salary cap space earlier in free agency, they dramatically reduced their ability to negotiate with one of their top remaining targets. Now the organization must explore more creative options, including potential sign and trade scenarios or waiting for additional roster movement elsewhere around the league. Neither option is simple. Everything comes back to LeBron ultimately. The final piece of this puzzle may depend on LeBron James. As long as his future remains unresolved, the Lakers' flexibility remains limited. Whether LeBron stays, departs, or becomes part of a larger transaction could completely reshape the team's financial outlook and determine whether acquiring Jonathan Kuminga is even possible. That's why the Lakers' off-season is far from finished. Yes, the roster appears complete. Yes, the contracts have largely been signed, but championship teams aren't built on paper, they're built by solving weaknesses. Right now, Los Angeles still has one major weakness, and until they find the athletic two-way wing they've been chasing all summer, questions about their championship ceiling will remain unanswered. The next few weeks could determine whether the Lakers enter the season as genuine title contenders, or simply another talented team fighting to escape the play-in tournament.
You talk to the Lakers, JJ Redick and Luka Dončić were very involved in helping to recruit these players. And we want to let these guys grow together. We want to let them have some continuity. They have no flexibility. This is their team.
The Lakers' championship hopes may depend on Jonathan Kuminga and LeBron James. Here's the part of the Lakers' off-season that most people are overlooking. This roster wasn't built solely by general manager Rob Pelinka. According to multiple reports, Luka Dončić and head coach JJ Redick played a major role in shaping the team. They identified the type of players they wanted, discussed roster construction, and helped influence several of the moves the organization made this summer. That means if this roster falls short, the blame can't rest entirely on the front office. Luka wanted this team built around his strengths, and the Lakers delivered. Now the pressure shifts to everyone involved. If the pieces don't fit together, the responsibility belongs to the entire organization, not just Rob Pelinka. Still, despite all the additions, one major problem remains unsolved. The Lakers still need an athletic, defensive wing capable of guarding elite scorers every night. That's why Jonathan Kuminga has become the organization's top remaining priority. How can the Lakers actually get Kuminga? At this stage, there's only one realistic path left: a sign and trade. Since the Lakers have already used nearly all of their available salary cap space, they can't simply sign Kuminga outright. Instead, they would need to work with the Atlanta Hawks in a sign and trade agreement that satisfies both teams financially. According to league insider Evan Sidery, the Lakers could legally absorb a contract worth more than $20 million through this type of transaction. The framework is relatively straightforward. Los Angeles would likely send Jared Vanderbilt, along with whatever future draft assets remain available, to Atlanta. In return, they would receive Jonathan Kuminga on a newly negotiated contract. For the first time all summer, the numbers actually work. That matters because Kuminga has made one thing perfectly clear throughout free agency: he isn't looking for a veteran minimum contract. He wants to be paid like an important young starter. Reports indicate he's seeking more than $20 million annually, believing his age, athleticism, and upside justify that salary. Earlier this offseason, the Lakers simply couldn't offer anything close to that figure. Now, thanks to a potential sign and trade, they finally have a realistic pathway. There are still major obstacles unfortunately for Los Angeles. Nothing is simple. The Lakers are already operating with a full 15-man roster. Completing a deal for Kuminga would almost certainly require trading Jared Vanderbilt while also opening another roster spot before the transaction could become official. Financially, it works. Logistically, it's complicated. But unlike earlier in free agency, this finally resembles a legitimate plan instead of wishful thinking. For weeks, the Lakers appeared to be hoping Kuminga would simply accept a massive pay cut to join the team. That was never realistic. Now they finally possess a mechanism capable of giving him the contract he believes he deserves. The Lakers aren't uneven with a workable trade structure. Los Angeles faces another challenge: competition. Several playoff contenders have serious interest in Jonathan Kuminga. The Cleveland Cavaliers have emerged as perhaps the strongest competitor. Their interest makes perfect sense. Head coach Kenny Atkinson previously worked as an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors during Kuminga's development, creating an existing relationship between player and coach. Milwaukee has also reportedly explored the possibility of acquiring Kuminga, believing he would receive significant playing time within their rotation. Sacramento has likewise remained involved, periodically checking in to monitor the situation. The Lakers aren't negotiating in an empty market. They're competing against multiple organizations that believe Kuminga could dramatically improve their roster. The biggest delay isn't about money, ironically. The largest obstacle preventing movement has almost nothing to do with salary cap rules. It's LeBron James. Whether LeBron chose to leave the Lakers or the Lakers decided it was time to move forward without him remains one of the biggest unanswered questions of the offseason. Either way, the result is the same. After 8 seasons in Los Angeles, LeBron is expected to continue his career elsewhere. Because he's an unrestricted free agent, he controls the timeline, and that's creating a ripple effect across the entire NBA. Many analysts have already begun referring to this as the decision for, unlike previous free agencies. However, this situation carries a unique twist. Even at 41 years old, LeBron remains one of basketball's most productive players. He's reportedly willing to accept significantly less money than his true market value in order to join the right championship contender. That changes everything. Several teams awaiting multiple contenders remain interested in signing LeBron. Among the teams most frequently connected to him are Cleveland Cavaliers, Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors, Philadelphia 76 ers, Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets. Off those teams, Cleveland appears to have the strongest momentum. A return to his hometown franchise would create one of the biggest stories in NBA history. The Cavaliers recently committed to Donovan Mitchell with a massive long-term extension, signaling that they remain fully committed to competing for championships. Many around the league believe that move also demonstrated organizational stability, making Cleveland even more attractive to LeBron. Why this matters for Kuminga: here's where everything becomes connected. LeBron isn't rushing his decision because he's expected to sign for a relatively small salary. He has the luxury of waiting. He can allow free agency to unfold, evaluate every contender after the dust settles, and choose whichever situation gives him the best opportunity to compete for another championship. Naturally, every team pursuing him is willing to wait. No organization wants to eliminate itself from the LeBron sweepstakes by spending its remaining cap space elsewhere. That includes Cleveland, and here's the problem for the Lakers. The Cavaliers also want Jonathan Kuminga, but they can't aggressively pursue Kuminga until they know whether LeBron is joining their team. As a result, the entire wing market has effectively frozen. Jonathan Kuminga is waiting, the Cavaliers are waiting, the Lakers are waiting, everyone is waiting for one player to make a decision. Bronny could be part of the story. The situation becomes even more fascinating when Bronny James enters the conversation. Reports suggest Cleveland would like to preserve enough flexibility to potentially acquire Bronny if LeBron ultimately signs there. Imagine how remarkable that would be. LeBron leaves Los Angeles, potentially reunites with Cleveland, brings Bronny with him, and in the process unintentionally delays the Lakers from completing the very move they desperately need. Even after leaving, LeBron could still be influencing the Lakers offseason. Two possible outcomes at this point. There are really only two realistic scenarios. Scenario 1, the Lakers land Kuminga. The ideal outcome, Los Angeles successfully negotiates a sign and trade with Atlanta. Jared Vanderbilt heads to the Hawks. Draft compensation is included. the Lakers clear a roster spot, Jonathan Kuminga arrives in Los Angeles. Instantly, the entire roster looks more balanced. Luka Dončić finally receives the athletic two-way forward he has needed throughout the offseason. Instead of constantly asking Luka or Austin Reeves to defend elite wings, Kuminga assumes those responsibilities. The defensive structure improves, transition basketball becomes more dangerous, the team's overall athleticism increases dramatically. No, Kuminga isn't a perfect player. Far from it, he's still developing. Questions about his consistency, decision-making, and overall fit have followed him throughout his NBA career. After beginning with Golden State and later moving to Atlanta, critics have continued asking whether he truly impacts winning beyond his incredible athletic gifts. Those concerns are valid, but for the Lakers, it's still the right gamble. His age, surrounded by Luka Dončić's playmaking and given a clear starting role, Kuminga would enter perhaps the best basketball environment of his career. If Rob Pelinka completes this move, the perception of the Lakers offseason changes overnight. What currently feels like a solid but incomplete summer suddenly becomes one of the league's strongest offseason performances. Instead of earning a respectable but unspectacular grade, the Lakers immediately jump into the conversation among the NBA's biggest winners. That's how important Kuminga is. Scenario 2, someone else wins. Second possibility is much less encouraging. Another team acquires Jonathan Kuminga first. Cleveland appears to be the biggest threat. If LeBron signs with the Cavaliers, Cleveland can finally move forward with the rest of its offseason and aggressively pursue Kuminga. Given Kenny Atkinson's familiarity with him, that pairing makes plenty of sense, but regardless of which franchise ultimately signs Kuminga, the real loser would be Los Angeles. Without him, the Lakers enter next season with the exact same weakness that has existed throughout the summer. Their wing rotation would rely heavily on Ziaire Williams, internal player development, or younger options taking unexpectedly large steps forward. That's asking a lot, especially in the Western Conference. The West won't path through the Western Conference is brutal. Oklahoma City remains one of basketball's elite teams. San Antonio continues building around Victor Wembanyama and looks increasingly dangerous. Houston has assembled one of the deepest young rosters in the league. Several other contenders also strengthened their lineups during free agency. Every playoff series will demand elite perimeter defenders. Without addressing that need, the Lakers could once again